Hello, this is Vance, and this is Friday, January the 27th, 2017, and these are the CL trades for today using the slow hand method for price action. I thought today was going to be kind of a similar setup as yesterday. Price traded down overnight, found some support, and then headed up higher, but was not to be. In fact, and this is always the risk. When price got down here early this morning, it kind of bounced around and started to work its way up. And then this is right at the open. So let's talk about that a little bit. Talk about some of the trades and some timing things and, like stuff that I've talked about before. Anyways, the overnight high was at 54.06 and price kind of moved its way down and we got to a low. I'll show you the low. Low is right down to 52.58, but that was later on. So let's talk about at first when price overnight kind of traded down until about 6 o'clock, 6:30. I mean, then we had this appeared that price wanted to reverse at that level, and then as we're getting closer to the open, price started to move up here. Now I was here at about 7:20, quarter to 7. And I was watching the market at that time, and things that if you take pre-market trades, you have to expect that things might be a lot slower. And so that's kind of the thing that I was looking at. So what happened is that price had traded down, first entry, second entry long off of here. And I was looking at the fact of having my stop somewhere below this bottom here. Now, this is earlier, so I wanted to kind of get stopped as low as possible. But they wouldn't really, I looked at trying to get in below here. But the only way I could get in is if I limited in. And I wasn't really comfortable with that, particularly how slow price was going. So I waited until this bar closed. This bar closed here. And so now when you look at these two bars, here's a first pullback, fails, a second pullback, and this was a strong bar right here. You had these two bars together. And so I got in with that one because it was right below this area, limited in. Now, where was my target? Well, my target is going to be 15 ticks away. And if you look at this 15 tick box, my target, well, we don't have any of this. So I'll just kind of read them, any of this stuff. So what I was expecting is that maybe we retest this high right here, or at least the overnight or the open. And it started moving its way, got my first contract off, and this was open. This is at 9 o'clock. And right at 9 o'clock, price broke down. In other words, it kind of just dropped, the bottom just dropped out of it. So this is 9 o'clock. Price ran down here. And just to give you an idea, this was right at 9 o'clock. It covered in 6 minutes, 6.5 minutes, it dropped 67 ticks. So over $0.50. And I don't know if this was the second leg of the measured move from off the overnight high, but after you have a move like this, you really have to wait it out to see how things are going to shake out. That's what I do anyway. So I only got my first contract off here before price turned around. And really, there was really no way to see this. I mean, you can make the argument that you could say, well, there was really no way. Because you can see this bar here. It was a good bearish bar, and this bar right away. But this took place, let me just show you the time here. When this bar turned around, this was 10 seconds. This bar is 9:34. So in 25 seconds, this thing drops over almost 20 ticks in half a minute. And so when that happens, unless you're in on the trade, unless you limit it in somewhere, there's really no way to get in on it and then from there, I don't know where the bottom is. First, you got to look at this bottom, and it broke through there, kept going lower. We didn't really have a turnaround to this bottom here. So as I said, this box shows that at 14 bars, it drops 67 ticks in just over 6 minutes. Okay. So there was really no way to get in on that. Now, price starts to slow down here. We have the first bounce, comes back down here. And so this is really like a second entry down here. But you can see this overlap. The problem with this trade is taking a trade here is that it looks like it is a second entry right to here, but a couple of poor setup bars. And even if you get in, if you limit in, the fact of the matter is that it started turning over. So we have a bull bar, bear bar, bull bar, bear bar. And so there's really, that was a tough one until we get this bar right here. And this bar is really, they call it, let me just kind of make this bigger. This bar right here, I mean, do you get in on something like that, expecting this is kind of a turnaround pattern? It is a second entry off of here. I didn't like this bar, so this one now, again, your stop is below the previous low, and the only thing is that it tried to make a run up, and then it started going into this overlap. It turns back down again. Now, when it turned down here, and we had this strong bull bar out of here, I thought this was a place to go long, but not when this bar closed. Limited in off of this one. It's a second entry long, but this is a second entry long here, but then we have this strong bull bar out of here. So this isn't your signal bar. I use this as a signal bar, but you can see first entry pullback, second entry right here when this bar closes, but it's heading in the wrong direction. When it turns around, that's where I looked at going long, right in here. And I waited till this bar closed. It was still strong, came back, ticked me in. I only got 15 ticks out of it because when I'm entered at 15, and it got to 30 and then failed. It just kind of clicked up, ticked up, and then failed right away. So I only got the first contract off. Comes back down here. Another second entry long right here. Pull back, first entry, second entry. Now we have this overlap, which to me indicates that there's capitulation. Price tries to test down lower, pulls out, and on this trade, again, I got in at 13. I limited in on this one, only got 15 ticks before it turned back again. And that was trade 2. So trade 3 down here. And again, price comes back down to this area. And once I got in on this one, once it cleared off, that was it. So there was 3 trades here. And by that time, we're talking about later on in the day. Now, what time was it? This occurred, this movement here, this is 9:08 down to here. This whole area, by the time the price turned around at this level, it is 11:29. So it took 2 hours for all of this to transpire. And the thing is that when price gets to this other high, and this is where I had marked off the top of the channel. I thought it was actually maybe a little bit lower, somewhere in that neighborhood. I was trying to kind of figure it out. But it really works out to be about roughly 15 ticks. Like, look where the turns down, moves up, turns down. I only entered on this trade based on the fact that it's really first entry pullback, second entry on this bar. And fortunately, to stay through it, wait on the thing. Your stop is below these areas of support. It took a while to work out, but then when it did work out, you get your first ticks off, and where's your stop? Your target is right at these double tops here. And what happens as soon as it gets to this top? Obviously, sellers took control and drove price down here. Now, these little boxes here, what I've got these boxes here for is to show this took 6 minutes to come down from here to this area, to this whole area here, took 2 hours and 21 minutes. That's what this is. But you see, as price pulls down from this peak to the bottom of this range, 17 minutes and 25 seconds. From this peak to the bottom, 29 minutes. So this took half an hour to move its way down here. And this overall length, this whole magnitude of move was 2 hours and 21 minutes. Now, when price finally breaks and starts to turn around from here, we see that this rapid move down takes 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And this move from here down to here takes an additional 3 minutes and 24 seconds. So 2.5 hours to go this distance, 5 minutes to drop almost 85 ticks, almost 90 ticks. So this is where you're getting a lot of contracts in. So what does that tell you? Well, it tells me that if you're going to buy or sell, would look for the delineation of the range and try to sell at the tops and buy at the bottoms. Because if you're able to sell here, when you get your first contracts off, you might be fortunate enough to catch the runner down to this bottom. So that's why I really try to buy where support is and sell where resistance is. Now, I didn't get on this trade. I was in this one. So when price turned around, it was, again, 2 hours, and after 2.5 hours of sitting here watching this thing go slow as molasses, I decided that was it for me, and that was pretty much it. But you can see price kind of dropped down. Now we're into 11:30, just before noon, and the same thing starts to happen. Price starts to grind its way up. Now, are there a couple of trades in here? I think you could. I was looking at this area right here. I was gone for most of this. When I came back to my computer about 2:00 just to see what the close was going to be like. And here, you could arguably take a couple of trades in this area as long as your stop is below what previous support was, somewhere in this neighborhood. And as you can see, from really about even just before the close, 220, 215. It ran up, reeled in some of this move from back here. It took quite a while for this, and again, from here, from 11, this is 11:30. This is 2 hours and 53 minutes to move 61 ticks. So again, it really makes a good case for looking at these areas after we have a rapid move down to look at maybe getting in. If you see a pattern that appears to be somewhat of a reversal, and to have your stop, a 15 tick stop, I think easily you can see, that's why I use the 15 ticks. If you look at it from this standpoint, this was really a 15 tick channel all the way up. Same with here. This was a little bit more than that, but only makes sense that if you use a stop at the bottom, you likely get your first target off before it turns back, as long as you are limited at these bottoms someplace. So that's why I use it. And, I don't use 10 ticks. 10 ticks too narrow. I don't use, maybe more than 15 ticks, but that's why I use it as a minimum. So I hope that's kind of clear. So these boxes maybe are somewhat helpful. Time is an issue. You have to always consider time as well. Again, you see moves like this, these rips down, they don't take very long. Like this total rip here, it was, like I said, from here to here and from here to here, 5 minutes. So we're talking 80 ticks in 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes. And it took 2 hours to kind of grind its way up 20 ticks or 39 ticks. 2.5 hours to grind up 39 ticks and 5 minutes to go over 80, almost 90 ticks. Okay. So that's it for now. I hope that you had a good week. And this is Vance. Bye for now.